Well, I think your analysis was very straight line. History doesn't run in a straight line.
Kid, you cannot tell your neighbor he is stealing ducks when you are stealing funds.
As High Commissioner, I was wrong. As Charandas Prasad, I reacted naturally how any person would have.
I did not come here for that kind of abuse. I did not come here for that kind of abuse. If you're going to go down that road, I'll walk off.
But it's all okay once they're talking. If they were talking, I could not have been here today.
You got ADHD.
I got
like
that.
Calm down.
I think I've done enough in terms of taking our team out of trouble from losing.
Come on, Lou Taylor. That's good. I'm reading the script now, and the first person that comes to my mind to play a detective,
Yes,
but
okay,
an
he's good.
erratic
Mikhail
detective
Rodriguez.
is Mikhail Rodriguez.
Why an African slapping Indian? Why a man and slap a woman? Look, how you deal with that? You deal with that.
We must encourage platforms like this because it brings together different people and allows for discussions to take place in our country on a multiplicity of fundamental issues.
Gildarie, you apologizing for something you think I did is wrong. I don't want you to do that, and you should not have done that.
Hi, good evening and welcome once again to the Gildarie Freddie Kissoon Show. We also coming to you live on YouTube. You can get there on the Daybreak News or Guyanese Critic channel. Wherever you are, whatever it is that you're doing, I hope that you're staying safe. Good night, good morning. On behalf of myself and co-host Freddie Kissoon, I want to say welcome once again to this show. We've been coming to you. It's been almost a year now. Freddie's going to tell you about that. I never would have thought that it could have, we could have lasted this long. Not because of anything, but because, in this country, so many things happen and nothing is permanent. But fortunately, we have been given a lot of support by you guys, not only in Guyana, across this region, North America, and across this globe. We have been so reached and touched by many of you who've asked us so many questions and to touch on issues that are burning, and your comments and your support and your calls and your texts have been very, very helpful in keeping the Gildarie Freddie Kissoon Show where it is now 1 year later. I don't know how long it's going to continue. I pray that it does. I really enjoyed it. Sometimes it was very, how you say it, not so smooth, but that is what the show is all about. We can all agree that we can disagree, and we have to disagree at times. No two person would have the same opinions, and Freddie and I, we have our opinions, and he has very strong opinions, and that is what makes the show. And of course, we discuss those issues which are very important to all in Guyana. We're talking about a country which is moving forward in leaps and bounds, and we cannot allow ourselves to lose the momentum. We have a lot of opportunities here. We can only encourage our people to take those opportunities. I'm going to stop here tonight. We're going to go 1.5 hours until 10 o'clock. We have our force. We're going to talk about things that bother us. Freddie Kissoon has some things in his mind. Of course, he's going to tell you what those are, and then come back. We have a few discussions, some burning topics tonight for us to talk about, especially when it comes to development of this country and the rule of law and systems and procedures. Freddie, good night, my co-host. Welcome.
Good night, Leonard. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. We are coming down in a matter of 2 weeks. I've run this show for 1 year, and it has been a learning experience. But I guess that's life. This evening, I have to say I'm mentally not all right there. Of course, some people would say I was never mentally all right there, but you have to live with those kind of criticism. Something happened in Guyana that I don't think any Guyanese in or out of this country, any human on planet Earth should accept. I will not accept it, and I'm asking you not to accept it. What happened in Guyana yesterday does not happen in the real world. And the thing about this country, it really breaks your heart to see how some things that hit at the heart of civilization in this country, people just do not come out and say, this is a threat to civilization. Ladies and gentlemen, youths, children, if you're looking at this program, reflect on what I'm about to say. A man broke into a hotel to rob it, encounter the security and the owner. The owner is a Canadian who came back here to invest, and he bought a hotel in 63 Beach to develop it, to develop Barbies, to make 63 Beach a tourist attraction. And a maniac invaded the place to rob him, killed his watchman, killed him, parts of their body were mutilated. That was just a few days before 2019 ended. That man that murdered those two persons was given, and let me pause there. Do you think you want to tell me how many years that man got for violently killing two persons? He got 4 years. The jail term for being found guilty for marijuana is 3 years. There have been not one, not two, but several cases of rape carrying life imprisonment. A famous politician in Guyana, his son inserted his finger into a so-called underage girl and got 45 consecutive years. I feature that in my columns. And this burglar invaded a hotel, killed the watchman first, then went into the building, killed the owner, and got 4 years. Here is what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to do, if you have children, if you have loved ones, do not accept that sentence. Stay clear away from criticizing, saying anything about the judge. I wrote a column in which I was emotionally enraged about a man who invaded a home with a gun because the guy was from abroad, the owner was from abroad, shot him, killed him, and I disagreed with that sentence and was sued for libel by Judge Navinja Singh. When the matter came up, Judge Kushia said she does not want this case to go to trial. Maybe it could be worked out. The judge wanted an apology. If he had asked me in the first place for an apology, I would have offered it instead of suing me. I'm asking you to reject this sentence. Stay clear of any personal derogatory criticism. Just concentrate on rejecting the sentence. Let me say this. One of my favorite Guyanese is a brilliant lawyer. I taught him at UG and I saw the potential. That's Anil Nanda. I say unapologetically, I admire Anil Nanda tremendously, and I know he's going to be a future president of this country. And I'm asking the Attorney General to say something about this decision of the judge. I think the judge is Ramlal or something like that. What sentence guidelines have been laid down that would allow a judge to give a man 4 years for the violent invasion of a hotel, killing the security and killing the owner? Whatever guidelines they are, that sentence cannot fit into those guidelines. Something is wrong here. I have no words to say about the judge. I am talking about the decision that you and I and Gildarie and Guyanese should not accept. You cannot kill someone in a performance of a violent robbery and get 4 years. 4 years? This thing happened in the beginning of 2020. This man is coming out at the end of this year. This migrant has children. This watchman that took a job as a security for a hotel has children. Put yourself in these people's place, that your father came back to Guyana to invest, heard that robbers went into the place, killed him, and one of those persons got 4 years. I am telling you, this is an act, a decision, an event in Guyana that should not go unprotested. Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, nowhere in the world you sentence a man that killed 2 people in the pursuit of a robbery, a hotel owner and a security guard, and he gets 4 years. I'm asking the AG, I'm asking the Chancellor of the Judiciary, I'm asking you that were calling with your phone calls. Please explain that to me. Please explain in what circumstances that person, that judge could arrive at 4 years. Is that within the sentence guideline? I am saying unambiguously, I am saying with pellucid forceness, I don't think there's a guideline in sentencing that would allow for 4 years. I want to hear what Gildarie has to say. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear what conscientious people who believe in the sanctity of life would have to say. And then I'm going to do the research. I'm just going to research the sentences of that judge for other crimes, robbery with violence, rape, what have you, and see if there is an inconsistency. I don't think there is a Judicial Service Commission at the moment. As soon as there's a Judicial Service Commission, I'm asking the Judicial Service Commission to investigate that sentence. It just does not make sense. It just don't happen in real life. I repeat before Gildarie comes in. A man went into a hotel to rob. He first killed the watchman, then went into the building, encountered the owner, killed the owner, parts of their bodies were mutilated, and this week he was sentenced to 4 years. I really believe there's no other country in the world like Guyana, in a negative sense. Gildarie?
Freddie, there's so many things happening in this place and that you would want to say from time to time. Are we for real? Let's look at that particular case. I'm familiar with that case. I think the daughter, I think she lives overseas, would have reached out to me and a couple of others. She's been fighting this particular. I remember it because when you talk about the hotel on 63 Beach, that thing struck me, and she was so passionate, crying, and she's saying that, look, this thing is not going anywhere, and there seems to be a travesty of justice. To hear, and you know,
no, she heard the man got 4 years.
I'm going to draw a parallel here. Many families were left devastated after that Luzignan and that Bartica murder, and the state took responsibility of taking a man who was sentenced to jail for multiple murders, and they put him in the custody of the state, and the state allowed that man to escape in a very shameful and a disgraceful manner. Yes, he was killed yesterday, but that is just one of the examples of what happened within the justice system and within our country. I would want to believe, I'm no lawyer, but I would want to believe for 2 murders during the furtherance of a robbery in which you invaded a home or a property that was closed.
Fingers were cut off.
So you do something like that. I'm not sure what went through the judge's mind and what were the extenuating circumstances. It seems extremely. It seems extremely ridiculous. And I believe also, I haven't read it yet. I am gonna immediately after the show, I'm gonna have a look at that article and see what exactly it is that the judge would have said. I'm sure somebody would have reported it. The judge in handing down that decision would have given the reasons why they went with a particular course of sentence.
I didn't read her explanation.
There has to be, because you cannot think two persons being murdered in that brutal of a fashion, knowing that the families are looking out for justice and loved ones, and that sentence.
No, but wait. He's out because she sentenced him to 4 years, including time served. So he was in the prison in the beginning of 2020. 4 years.
It's 9 months, right. 9 months.
So 9 4 36.
So he's outside.
He's outside.
Well, let's do the research and see what happens. The second thing that I really had wanted to talk about Smalley until you brought up that issue. And the Smalley issue comes back to what I've said a little earlier about the Bartik and the Luzaknan. If anything, my father was killed in 1980, Freddie Kissoon. He was a policeman. I never really discussed it openly here. I wrote about it in the past. He was a policeman guarding
the abattoir.
It wasn't the abattoir. At the head of Sheriff Street and Railway Embankment.
Yeah, GPL. Big construction is going on there.
Yeah, there was a
Every
GPL,
time I pass, I remember you and your father.
I think there was a GPL the substation or something. He was guarding, and
I passed there every day.
They attacked him, took away his gun, and stabbed him. And one of his own family picked him up. I understand that the police caught the two of them. But imagine I was a little bit, I was a little older, and the two men who were accused of killing my father would have been given that kind of sentence. That strikes real at home to the heart. And I think when you're talking about justice, we talk about justice delayed, justice denied. But imagine you given a sentence that's totally ridiculous. Imagine there was a case. There was another case. Remember that little girl that was killed by her mother? She's still in jail, and the guy who was alleged to have, I say alleged because the Caribbean Court of Justice found that the evidence that was presented.
That's different. But hold on. They found him not guilty.
Yeah.
If they found the mother guilty, and she has to serve a long sentence.
Yeah, but you got to understand how the system works. But imagine, here's the story. That mother was sitting here. That man is alleged to have put the rope around the girl's neck and strangling her while the mother was in the front seat of their car. That's a story that was coming out based on what we would have read and what we knew. But imagine you were the loved one, you're the grandparents for that little kid, that teenager from Queen's College or wherever she was going to. And you're seeing that this man is walking in, knowing what he would have alleged to have done. Freddie Kissoon, we got to be...
But you said the man's daughter... She has to be traumatized.
The girl has been fighting this particular. I am very sure this is a particular case because the hotel is in 63 Beach.
Listen what former judges have said to me, and some very, very learned minds have said to me. I'm just so sorry they haven't given me permission. When I wrote that article questioning justice, the Devendra Singh decision, in which a guy came home from abroad. And the gunman went into his home trying to rob him and killed him, and the guy got 3 years for him. Judges, former judges, 2 of them, and a number of lawyers told me, when you go into a court and charge for murder through robbery, there must be an impact statement before the judge sentences the person. There is an impact statement from the relatives,
right,
from the victims,
to say how this thing has affected them.
I want to know if Judge Ramlal, if she didn't postpone the sentences and say, ask the prosecutor, could you get in contact with the relatives? Because Did this daughter who's in touch with you, did she give a statement during the sentencing? Do you?
I don't
Could we
know.
get to one?
I'm gonna try to reach out to her. I have her number somewhere.
You don't have it here now?
No. I'm gonna definitely get hold of her because this is an interesting, but it's not only interesting, it's heartbreaking. I don't know, like I said, I don't know the circumstances. But it has, you cannot be. Let me shut my mouth before. The judge could call you up before the court, right?
The judge could call. I haven't said anything about
right.
I have a
We
right.
gotta be very careful, but we could talk around.
I saw a letter written by a PPP person in questioning Justice Kissoon's decision. Let me say here now, I never thought Justice Navindra Singh would have sued. That's a learning experience to me. But I know, and I can call names that told me you could go on to criticize court decisions, just be careful what you say. I do not believe that a judge can order a company to have unlimited insurance. I think the CCJ is going to throw that out. You can disagree with a court decision. Mm-hmm. You can disagree. You can't derogate the judge. You can't, but you could disagree with a court decision.
Of course, and we could discuss it. I think there's our right.
I think there's serious weaknesses in that decision about unlimited insurance. And I think the court should grant a stay of Justice Kissoon's decision. So the judge can ask me to come to court. And that judge has to say to me, I'm asking you to come to court here because you disagreed with my decision. I make no comment on her performance, make no comment on qualification, make no comment on her competence. I am just saying I disagree with that decision. All right. And that's my right.
Let's talk about the rule of law along the same lines. A man owns... You own your property that you're living in along these coasts? Do you have a transport title in it?
Yeah.
Imagine that you had 2 acres behind that, but you also have a transport. And imagine that people decide to come squat on that. You own the land, transported land. This is not state land, brother man. It's your land.
It belongs. I think that happened.
The man give them one notice.
Two notice.
I'm not saying I'm unfeeling and I don't have I don't understand the humanitarian side. I'm just talking from the legal side. I give you 1 notice, 2 notice, 3 notice, eviction notice, that kind of thing. Just please get out. It's my land. You didn't do it. And I'm going to tell you the other side of the story, what I've learned too, because I did some digging. It went to court, and the court said, well, how you can take that for the people in land? The man has a right to his land. And so that is how the police then went there with the marshals of the court to go remove the people. Now, how did it go so long? I was told that people...
Political opportunity?
No, it's not political. This has to do with con people. I would call them con people. They're in every part of this country selling lands that does not belong to them. They go to see a piece of land that's empty. Give me $40,000. I'm going to talk to that man there. Next thing, the poor unsuspecting people go on there, put down a property. By the time you catch yourself, there's 300 homes on the place. The man want back his property. What's wrong with the man wanting his property? But how did that situation allow to fester? By the time he catch himself, 300 properties on 300 houses on his transported property that belong to he. Freddie Kissoon is squatting in your backyard, the place that you have a lease. Here the other thing, because all these are topics you guys could discuss tonight. You're talking about rule of law. The minute you start squatting, and hold on, it's not only your holy calls, please, ladies and gentlemen. It's not only the central housing and planning. You could get a piece of land to do a development. You could go to the lands and survey and apply as well. You could go to Gaisuko and apply. I spoke to somebody from lands and survey, and they said, look, we were trying to work with them so long, and the person told me that they got people taking money from the people them and encouraging them to go stay and squat on people land. How do you go squat on a man land? And then three years later, you said the police came and harassed. The police were on the scene yesterday to clear the road. I asked the commander what happened here. The commander said that they were there to clear the road. I'm not business because that private transaction that took place there of clearing the land, breaking down the house, was between the court marshals, and the police were only there as a backup. But it was a decision from the court, and it was because of the court order that they did that. The people then went out on the road, and this is where the commander and the police came in. No, you cannot block the road because that is where the thing. So that's one.
Well, I like the one with the lady. I like the one with the lady who occupied the land where the new highway next to them. She said she wants 55. She spent $55 million, and she wants I think 200 million. A squatter can use $55 million for a house. I build a house and it's nowhere near 55 million. I would say more than working class.
There's a flip side to that. There's been a lot of criticism. We got to try to fast track, but you got to understand before you even give out. And I think this is what has been the problem. And when Diamond Village was being developed, people went in there and they had house lots, but the infrastructure wasn't there. There was dams and there were people walking. And Freddie,
but
the time now is that the government are building the infrastructure before you move in, because we have the money now. It cannot be that you would still go ahead and start squatting on the place when it brings so many social problems.
Is there any way you could make a call now from someone to get that lady's?
I'm going to search it.
You could call her now and put her on the phone.
But I'm going to go search it. I don't have it.
It's not in this phone here. I'd like to hear from her.
Yeah, I'm going to get her number. I'm going to get her number. She's been crying out for justice in this case.
A man invaded her father's place, killed him, and he's out.
Yeah, but and the father would have had, these are people who has loved ones. There was one other case that really came to my attention. I really got to discuss this thing. This thing is burning in my head. There seems to be a culture festering that whenever we see something happen, that let's continue it. You know, I got vexed with Freddie Kissoon, I go pelt his house. Next man said, I got vexed with Gildarie, let's go pelt his house. There was a burning of a place in Madiel by a student. The student is before the court right now. In Karasabay, that happened in Region 8. Karasabay, 4 students put out of the hostel. They decided to go burn the place down. What comes through people's mind, whether it's teenagers or whatever, that this is an acceptable thing to do, Freddie? It is something is wrong with our society, our values. No, I'm not sure. Do we start teaching them? Where are the church? Where are the mandates? Where are the mosque?
Gildarie. I mean, I could understand if it was you burn a place down and 2 people died. 20 people died. And these people saying, treat the girl. What about the relatives of these people?
The president went to Brazil and came back and went to a funeral. When I looked at that, I don't think people really understand. One village, was it Chinapao? Was it Chinapao? Freddie, 11 coffins for that little community
people
here.
Would use here. There got some people that so hate this government for racial and political reason. And anything that is uncivilized, they would civilize it and hold the government responsible. Do you know there was some train wreck, some train accident in India yesterday and 50 persons died? I guess the Prime Minister has to resign. He should have, when the train was being built, he should have made sure that the train was built properly. I'm sorry I sound so now, I withdraw that. But it's the kind of minds you have in this country.
There has to be an awakening.
There's a guy named Leland Rupnarine. Words cannot describe what that man's character. He said the minister of local government should be charged with homicide over, it's in the papers today. Look, you must charge a minister with homicide because a girl refused to be disciplined, burned down the dormitory, killed 20 of us, and the minister must be charged with homicide. That is the kind of man. And this guy is a well-known Guyanese in New York. A whole set of look, Gildarie, the phone lines are open up. We go until 10 o'clock. I think you heard my feelings about that judge's decision of 3 years, a few months, for a man who invaded a hotel, entered the yard, saw the watchman killed him, went into the building, saw the owner killed him. This is...
Ladies and gentlemen, quite a mouthful. We went a little longer than we expected, but there's a lot of things that are really hurting us.
So we open the lines.
We want to correct it. We want to see a better Guyana. Our numbers are 231-2982. You could call us on that. And of course, if you're overseas or you're local and you want to call us, WhatsApp or otherwise, it's 637-1071. Let us hear it. Make it short, sweet. Let us have intelligent discussions. And all with the intention of taking this country forward. Many things wrong, and it's really, really hurting us. Come on, let's hear those calls. In the meantime, if you don't know, the joint services and others would have started voting for the local government elections. Make sure you choose somebody who you believe is going to serve you to do better. Local government is very important towards the running of our regions and carrying out some basic critical services, garbage, drainage, among other things. Strange, it's 9 o'clock and nobody calling 231-2982 or 637-1071.
Or maybe they're so traumatized at that.
Yeah, you guys traumatized?
At that judge's decision. They probably don't want to call in and talk about any other thing. And the judge's sentence has probably so traumatized them. But we have an hour, and please use it to call in and let us know how you feel about that judge's decision. Let us know how you feel about so many other things. Like Smalley was charged with mass murder, convicted, and he wasn't executed, and we still have the death penalty. And that's because the EU countries have pressured Guyana, but they haven't pressured. The closest country to the EU is United States, and they execute people there every month. But we have buckled because they keep pressuring us to abolish the death penalty. And some of the EU's closest friends have the death penalty. Saudi Arabia.
You believe there's a mastermind. In the meantime, those calls are coming through. You believe there's a call here. Let's go right to it. Good evening, caller.
Hi, good evening, Gildarie, Freddie.
Good evening.
Two things I want to make out. I have a message for this government. In Region 6, the central government or the CC need to investigate the RDC's official. Region 6 is the backbone of this government department, and it hurts me to see what's going on. I am on the street head sometimes at the bus shed at work. The people are complaining about the officials at the RDC. I don't want to mention more. They need to look into them. That is one. Something is not measuring up with the police report about Smalley. The police force need to come clean and let us know.
What do you mean come clean? Explain that to me. I don't understand. A man escaped from prison. He's on the run. Yes. The joint services are going after him. What the police got to say?
Now listen to this. A lot of names would have called anytime Smalley had come in alive. A lot of people had things to do with the escape. To eliminate names to call, they could have bring in Smalley alive.
When you were there, you know you know how the strategic operations went on.
I don't buy that. Let me tell you why I don't buy that.
No, wait. Just let him explain how he knows that.
Go ahead. Let me hear.
From the little that you can put together from the different reports you're getting from the different media house, from the two reports that the police force put out.
Which media houses? Name the media houses.
No, I wouldn't name the media houses.
Why you don't want to name them? You're making accusations against the police, but you can't name the media houses. So you choose to beat up on the police, but you want to save the image of the media houses. Name the media houses. You were not afraid to accuse the police.
Listen to this, Freddie. We all see and listen and accept what we want.
Who are the media houses? Please name the media houses. Hello, sir?
I think we lost that one.
They lost it or he hung up?
No. But Freddie...
This conspiracy theory.
Good evening, caller. Hello? Hello? If you call in this, make sure that you lower your volume of whatever you're listening to so we can go straight into the calls. That's 231-2982. I don't believe, Freddie Kissoon, that there was any big mastermind. I think that's something that happened, and I can tell you my reason for that. Good evening, caller.
Yes, good evening, gentlemen. This is a very maddening topic here tonight.
Yes.
This sentencing. When I was a schoolboy between 1968 and 1976, you had a feared man called Justice Akbar Khan.
Yeah, I know about him. Yeah.
Right? And he's a man, when he put a black thing on top, he had were coming down. He's a man who used to sentence plenty people to death, when I was a schoolboy. Other judges too, but Akbar Khan was the most feared.
Yeah, I heard, everybody knew about him, yeah.
The angry god.
Yeah.
But there's nobody like that now. You got no angry god now. I don't know what happened. And 4 years is absolutely ridiculous because I know...
It's not 4 years. 4 years, a year is 9 months. So it's 9, 4, 36.
3 years then.
3 years plus a few months. For invading a hotel and killing the security and the owner, 3 years, a few months. I lived all my life in this country, and I would just like a learned mind to explain to me how that could logically be arrived at. Is there a logic to it? If there is a logic to it, I beg Guyana, I beg the judicial system to explain that to me. How that judge could arrive at 3 years, a few months, and it followed the guidelines, it followed the procedure. I just curious to know that.
Yeah, I see many times now they have reduced Justice Narendra Singh, who sentenced it to 100 years and 90 years and so, down to 25 years and 20. They've been reducing virtually all of his sentences. So I know they're going to zero. But in my time, judges were feared. I remember riding to school, I must say it was in third or fourth form. And just before I reached school, you had a stop, right, to let the traffic come from the Kanji Bridge going to New Amsterdam. Well, I didn't stop. I just kept riding straight across, and a car pulled up on the side of me, and a man watched me. And to this day, I still remember the look what the man gave me. A man called Justice Frank Vera. I could have died. Right? I never right through one way again. Right? I mean, or across the road, just like that, without stopping. But, because in my time, 50 years ago, judges were feared people. But I know, like people are frightened judge no more.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Zaire, for coming through, caller.
Okay, thanks.
Yes. Freddie, take this. Let me get this one.
You get what?
Let me call her right there.
Oh, you're calling the daughter?
Yeah.
If you're looking at the show, Gildarie has just stepped out of the studio. He has gone to call the daughter of the victim. Let's take this call. Good evening. You're on to the Gildarie Freddie Kissoon show.
Yes.
Gildarie has just stepped out. He's gone to get the daughter, the traumatized daughter of the hotel owner that was killed, because she was worrying about the case, and now she found out that her father was killed, and his killer just got 3 years plus. So he's just gone out to get the woman on the phone. Let's hear from you, sir. Yeah, Gildarie's coming back.
I'd like to speak about the Ministry of Education and teachers. Recently, you will recall that the teachers had a strike this week in connection with salary, right? Since this government took office, it's coming to 3 years, and they cannot find a resolution with the teachers' union in connection with salaries for teachers. Mr. Freddie, you always support the president, right? You said the president needs good for this country. I'm saying to you, Monday coming, the ministry will be rolling out the Because We Care grant for the children. What about the teachers? 3 years is coming to, and the government cannot come to a decision. It's unfair to the teachers, Mr. Kissoon. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I don't have a problem in principle with teachers getting a fair share. I'm not familiar with the dimensions of the negotiations. I can just give what I will say is both a theoretical and philosophical response. I support teachers, policemen, soldiers, public servants getting an increase given our oil economy, and an increase that would be meaningful. As to the details of what is going on, I hope it works out in favor of both sides. The government feel satisfied, and the teachers. Thanks for coming through, man. Yeah.
Right? Teachers are important to this nation in nurturing the children for the future of this economy and all of that.
The woman's on
the president goes on his outreaches many times and solve a lot of problems, right? Why can't the president find some time with his Minister of Education and whoever, sit down with the union and solve this problem?
I want to add something to what you said, and I want to be cautious about what I say, because I think many times in this country there are hidden dimensions, subtle dimensions, subliminal dimensions to things that are not on the surface. Now, for example, the head of the teachers union is a member of parliament representing the People's National Congress. Is there anything there that you had a teachers union, you have a teachers you have the unions negotiating with the government, but could there be a political input there that the head of the teachers union, could there be a perception on the part of the government that, look, the union is a politicized one? These, I'm not saying that's the reality. I'm just saying humans have perceptions, and those things must be taken into consideration. I perceive that there are people in this country who there are actors and civil society groups in this country that do not like the government for racial reason and for political reason, and therefore they will maximize things. But anyway, look, Gildarie is trying to get the murdered man's daughter on the phone so we could discuss this. Thanks for coming through. And let me end by saying I have sympathies for teachers, police, soldiers, public servants, and agricultural workers too. They need to share in our oil wealth. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Bye-bye. If you're watching us, we are discussing the 3.5 years given to a youth. Here's a number, here's a caller. Good evening, welcome to the Freddie Kissoon Gildarie or Gildarie Freddie Kissoon show. If you're looking at your screen, Gildarie just stepped out because he wants to get someone on the phone.
Gildarie stepped out. Good night. I know he stepped out.
Yeah, good evening. Make your contribution, sir.
Yeah, Fred. Brother Freddie, there is a concept in life which says that sense without common sense is no sense at all. So you may be the brightest person in the world, but if you don't have common sense, I mean, you may be whatever the term an educated fool. Now, Miss Coretta McDonald being a person in the GTU have nothing to do with thousands of teachers in this country. If you cannot use Coretta McDonald as an excuse for not paying the thousands of teachers in this country, you have C. Paul Narayan and Paul Marchand and all of them was parliamentarian from Gao. So that is
But
not an
Gawu,
excuse.
I can tell you this, I lived in this country. The government from 1992 is PPP government, and they had serious problems with Gawu. At one time, the PPP government threatened to de-recognize Gawu. So there was no hand in glove, panky thing between.
3 years of not engaging the GTU to increase teacher salary is not a justification. You cannot use curriculum that as a justification.
I didn't use that. I'm saying though. You got the lady?
All right, Chief, you cannot dominate the areas like that. I think you've made a point. Could we move on? You there, sir? Thank you for coming through.
I find that when views are not in keeping with the directly are dismissed.
No, I'm not dismissing you, but you cannot take 15 minutes with an entire call. We don't allow that. What happened to the other folks? Sorry, my apologies about that. Caller, good evening.
Hi, good evening, sir. Okay, 27th of April, 2011. An individual by the name of Bedi Ramjiwan was gunned down on the Industry Railway Embankment Road. His killer, allegedly at the time, was Smalley. Not Smalley, sorry, Samuel Skeet. I think Samuel Skeet. He was represented by Nigel Hughes, who accused at the time Priya Manik Chan, who is a relative of the individual that was gunned down, as being out.
From 1992,
hello.
You're looking at your phone or TV.
Yeah, could you go ahead quickly make a point, sir?
Yes. Okay. Nigel.
Leonard.
Leonard. Sorry. Yes. The representation in the court was that because of Priya Manik Chan, her cousin, an innocent man was sent to jail. The guy was subsequently released in a no-case submission by whatever. Eventually, he was killed in Cayenne or in French Guyana. Leonard, that guy happens to be my brother. Bedi Ramjiwan happens to be my brother. It pains my heart, it pains me every day to know that people like Smalley, people like so many other people that would have been tried, sent out freely, like Freddie would have spoken about the guy who would have killed that individual out in quarantine. I don't know how I can explain without getting the anger of using explicit and saying that our judicial
expletive
sometimes.
Yes. Anyway, all right. Well, don't get upset. Let's
I think the point that you're trying to make is that the system is really broken, and I guess that's the point that we've been saying that we got to fix it. We got to fix it.
Let's move on. Let's take some other calls, right?
How do we fix it, Leonard?
It has to be started. We have to start recognizing that the system is broken. That's the first thing. And the second thing, we should become intolerant to any kind of behavior or cultural or stance by the authorities, whether it's the government, whether it's the opposition, whether it's the judiciary, that they believe they could write this on the back of people and people accept anything as it is. It does not matter. We are citizens and we deserve better. Simple as that.
All right. Thanks for coming through.
Thank you very much for coming through. Good evening, caller.
Good night, Mr.
Could you lower your volume what you're listening to, please?
Yeah. I'm trying to get this fire thing with the people talking about with Marjorie. you know what I want to say? This fire with this girl, this little girl, she light the fire there. She's nighttime. This girl light the fire. It's not daytime. It's nighttime. So I don't know with this big hollow balloon with these political parties getting out of it. Thanks.
Well, if you don't have anything else to say, I mean, you would continue to talk about it. As it is now, that girl is before the court. We'd have to see where the court matter goes and whether any other parties, if she's going to say any other parties would have been involved with it. We don't know. The matter is before the court. What we do know is that if you're not in there, and people just do it because they want political mileage, but they need to understand the facts and the context. Good evening, caller. Good evening, caller.
Hi, good evening.
Go right ahead.
Mr. Gildarie. Yes, I'm calling concerning Region 6. What the traffic is doing about driving with the headlights flashing and coming into oncoming traffic? What they doing about that?
You're talking about the big trucks and everything else?
He's talking about people having the
bright lights?
The bright lights, yeah.
Yes, I'm talking about this during the day. They will give you a bright light and they will overtake 3-4 cars and come in head on into you. What the police is doing about that?
Me got a theory about that. If a lot of people that would drive, buying the license and driving on the road, that's an idiocy. There's a kind of situation that you're going to see. But not only that, comes back culturally. It is what we are accustomed to. We like to break the laws. We like to pay bribes. We like to be corrupt. I'm in that mood tonight.
They think it's the law to do that, to give bright lights so you get the way through, but it's not so.
No, what I'm saying is that because we are so accustomed, there's a couple people who used to get away with it. Do you know that if you pass by a police station now, the vehicles with the blackest tints, all on the front windscreen, I don't know how these people could see to drive. Are the policemen? If you start from there right across the thing, the law is starting to be broken by the gatekeepers.
So when we gonna get it right and implemented it? When we gonna get
it? Starts with me, you brother man. When we see a road being done in front of us and the people ain't doing it properly, contractor, do not have your tongue in the cheek and say, well, I don't want to say it because they can think. We gotta start opening our mouths and speak. It's not only Freddie Kissoon and Gildarie and the president alone. We are the one paying our taxes. We are the one who voting them in. Let them know that your vote counts. Come June the 12th, you vote them out if they don't want to do the work. Simple.
Okay. Right, sir. Thanks.
The thing is, the problem is, I don't give them break. And you know what's going to happen? Not only the driver, but the passenger they're carrying, because I'm driving a truck.
The trucks like fairy light, you see them on the road, you want to know whether there's a stage and there's a show going on and all the bright lights and the spotlights. Thank you for coming through, sir.
Okay.
Good evening, caller.
Good evening to you, gentlemen. How are you?
Pretty good, sir. Go right ahead.
What I'd like to say, sir, is that we have had in Guyana over the years a number of murders, And when people die and your family, you lose your relatives to a murder. Person goes to court, they get a life sentence, But if the person is sentenced to death, you have this one-man army, which is the Guyana Human Rights Organization, come to say, oh no, don't hang these people. Don't hang them, Don't hang them, right? We shouldn't hang them. These people should be reformed. Reformed for what? Hang them high because they killed. They have no value to add to society. So why are we keeping them in the jail and signing this pact with countries? Imagine the US and UK and all these places. They are hanging people, sir. So why are we not going to hang or use a lethal injection to these killers? The justice system in this country needs to recognize that when people lost their breadwinners, their relatives and so, you have to do something. This one-man army, which is called human rights, can step up only to the murderer. There is no sympathy for the victims. We gotta done this crap, man.
We got to start getting serious about our country. We got to start opening our mouths. I know Freddie Kissoon does something. Freddie Kissoon, the Guyana Human Rights Association.
Waste of time.
It is unbelievable. All right, thank you for coming through, sir. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bro. Have a good night.
Okay. Good evening, caller. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, sir. How are you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good, sir. You go right ahead. It's a little wet out here.
Okay, all right. So,
It's raining outside.
heard clearly what Mr. Kissoon was saying about the incident in India. He said a train in an accident and 50-something person died.
Yep.
Yeah, but when you look at India population and Ghana population, you can't even compare those kinds of incidents.
No, he's not talking about that. He's talking about the responsibility. Who do you point fingers to when incidents like this occur? I think that's what he was trying to say.
I was being cynical. Anything happening in Guyana, the implacable enemies of the government look to score political points. So I was just being cynical with the incident in India. Anyway, that's just. I wasn't.
And the other thing with Smalley murder, the
Smalley murder? It cannot be Smalley murder, sir.
Smalley
escaped from prison and was on the run, and the police.
Sorry. With the death of Smalley, sorry for the terminology that I use.
Yeah.
Did the police release like a press statement or something of that sort? Because I'm looking and I can't find anything.
Yes, the police put out a statement, and the police said there was an engagement. They put a dragnet and they cornered them not too far from Bartica, the same Bartica in which he was convicted of killing some people.
Okay.
So it wasn't far from there that he met his end.
Yeah, all right.
All right, we got some calls coming in.
Thank you very much for coming through. Good evening, caller.
Hey, good day. How you doing?
Pretty good, sir. You go right ahead.
I got two topics to come to talk about.
Sure.
I want to talk about the kids that get burned up in that fire, right? My point is this. We got a lot of blame to go all the way around to everyone. That's number one. Number two, I don't understand how this place that we learn that those bars and those doors, that was the enemy of causing all them kids to die. Not only because of the girls set the fire and stuff like that. Let's blame everyone who's supposed to be responsible for those kids. Those bars, man. Those bars is the wrong thing to do. Anyway, even people's homes, you cannot put bars directly into the structure of the concrete. As we're going to have a lot of problems, not only in the school, we're going to have a lot of problems in homes too.
You live in Guyana, sir?
Gildarie,
I'm in Guyana.
could you let the gentleman have a say? Let the gentleman have a say, and then okay, Saul. We heard what you said. The bars is a problem, and there should other people to be blamed. Thanks for coming through, man. Thanks for coming through. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Well,
I would be the first one for saying to you, Freddie Kissoon. You have bars in your house?
All the windows, Gildarie.
How you come out? Even for fire breaks, God forbids.
My grill has padlocks.
But you would not think of not having bars, would you?
I lived all my life in Ghana, excuse me?
Very good, thank you. Good evening, caller.
Hi, good evening, Leonard and Freddie. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good, sir. Go
I
ahead.
just want to make a contribution. Yeah, I've been watching your program. It's quite interesting. I've been following you guys from day one. And I'd like to make a contribution and respond to three things here. One is that case with the judicial sentencing that was passed 3.5 years for a murder, a brutal murder. I am very, very...
Two murders. Plural murders.
Oh, 2 murders, right. The watchman and the owner. It's pathetic that, people in the diaspora wants to go back and listen, heeding the call of the president to go back and develop the country, helping in the development, and this is the fate. And long story short is that I find that it is alarming that the judicial branch of the country is failing our country miserably. If we can figure out that 33 is the majority of 65, this is fundamental things, and all of these decisions that are coming down, there seems not to be any fixed criteria that judges are following, or what. It's unexplainable of these decisions. I don't know. Years ago, in the 60s, 70s, and even in the 80s, we used to have these judges. I don't know if it's a contribution from the type of legal training that these folks. I'm not bashing anyone from the UWI, but we used to have barristers coming from England and trained, and there used to be a certain amount of consistency of judgment.
Well, I think some lawyers will tell you the law is an ass.
That was from Dickens.
No.
I know. I understand what you're saying.
As a reputable lawyer like our AG, Anil Nanal, great guy, he always says the law is not an ass. The law is there, it's how it's interpreted and how it's applied. But long story short, the judiciary is failing our country miserably. I'm telling you, the executive is doing its part, the legislative body, they're trying, but the judiciary, every case that goes in front of the judiciary, you're just holding your breath to find out what's going to come out of this, because there's so much inconsistency. That's number one. Growing up, I've read a lot of Louis L'Amour and watched a lot of Clint Eastwood movie, and it seems like the law is like the sheriff in the tongues of Texas today.
Man, you've captured it so beautifully there, so beautifully. I think that's it.
It is. Yeah, it's like the Wild West right now.
How could
with the judiciary?
I just want to be satisfied. I just want an explanation of how a violent invader could kill two persons in a hotel security and the owner
but hold
and
on.
get 3 years.
He went to do a robbery, right? And in the furtherance of that robbery, 2 murders were committed. This girl lit a fire. She is before the courts now. She is she's charged with lighting the fire, and by so doing, murdered 20 persons.
Allegedly murdered 20 persons.
20 persons now.
So
that even is not the I don't know.
My point, sir, is that the law is being interpreted like we're in the Wild West. If you come through New Mexico during the Louis L'Amour time, it's one set of laws there.
You said you like
it's a different.
You said you like Clint Eastwood and Louis L'Amour. The best description of Guyana. Have you ever seen a cowboy movie, a western movie with Charles Bronson named Chateau's Land?
I will not have you, Freddie Kissoon. This is my country.
Chateau's Land? No, I love my country, and I appreciate and I think President Ali's doing all right, but there are aspects of Chateau's Land in Guyana.
I thank you for coming through. Caller.
That's the point I was making, Guy, that that the executive is doing its role, the legislative is trying their best as possible, but our judiciary keeps failing our country. And for a modern, if we have to move into the next realm of wealth in this country, the judiciary is going to fail our country so miserably. Something needs to be. I think Anil has his work really cut out here. I don't know how this thing.
All Guyana got to work, and we got to demand more.
I don't know what the Guyana Bar Association. What is their position on these things? We got to become very vocal. The citizenry of the country needs to step up.
The Bar Association is one of the NGOs in this country I have no respect for.
Yeah, that's what
no
I'm saying.
respect for. I think the Bar Association is embarrassment to law.
Right, NGOs should be, their purpose is to defend the citizenry of the country, but these guys persistently seem working to undermine the government in everything. This is not good for the country. We are on the precipice of great things. And one other thing I want to point out, with the Ministry of Education, the caller that called in and talk about the raises, and he alluded to that on Monday. Many students will be receiving 40,000. Many of those teachers also have kids in school, and they'll be receiving another 40,000 per kids. So I just want to remind him of that as well. Things are going to happen. The president said that he's working on a big package for the teachers, and let's,
before you go,
fingers, and it's going to happen.
Before you go, you listen to me. Before you go, you didn't tell me if you're familiar with the famous Charles Bronson Western movie Chateau's Land. You ever saw that movie?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
I'm an old timer. These are my favorites, right?
All right.
So I can relate to what's happening in Guyana. The
All
Wild
right.
West.
Take care, man.
you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for coming through here. Chateau's Land, Freddie Kissoon, 231-2982. You could also call us on 637-1071. Let us get those calls coming through. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen. A quick observation.
Sure.
Some of these callers, y'all got them on the air babbling the same thing over and over. Then some of them, you just cut them off without listening to what they have to say.
No, we have never done that.
We only cut off one.
We have never done
that. I believe it's a little.
We have
long.
never done
We
that.
Can't have
So
them too long.
you haven't been listening to us. We have not cut off anyone.
Relax, let me say something, please. Relax, let me say something, please. Stop interrupting the people when they're talking. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for coming through. Good evening, caller. All right, we lost that one. 231-2982. You could also call us. Let's see here. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Mr. Leonard and Freddie.
Good evening.
So, let's just a quick thing. What I want to know with the ruling. Now, remember those prison officers a few days after the escape of Mali. They were pulled in. They are on remand right now because of a wrong decision, whatever was investigated. Now, if anybody who is in a position do something that would cause them their job or would cause them to go behind bars, is there a penalty? I mean, I would like to just hear from you guys. Is there a penalty when a judge or magistrate or in a high authority make a decision that is not against the Constitution or whatever? Is there a penalty for that person too? What can be done to that person?
That's an interesting question, and I have my take, and then Freddie.
Well, no, it's a simple. There are two dimensions to that question. If a judge misbehaves outside of performance on the bench, or during the performance on the bench, something extraordinary happened, the Judicial Service Commission could hold an inquiry. When it comes to decision of the court, there is nothing the court can do except in the court of public opinion. There is nothing you can do with that judge's decision. She chose to give the guy 3 years instead of 13. Unless somebody has some...
I think the DPP could probably...
the DPP could appeal it. I don't think there's any disciplinary body. There's no way you could discipline a judge for a decision that you disagree
No, but the matter
with.
could be appealed because this is a high court that made the decision there. She is of the high court. It could be appealed.
Yeah, it did.
The question is who appeals it. I think that
it has to be the DPP.
The DPP.
It has to be the prosecutor.
I don't agree with the sentencing, and she appeals it. It goes to the full court, the appeals court, and if that matter they're not happy with it, it goes to the Caribbean Court of Justice. Good evening, caller.
Hi.
It's a good question. Go ahead, caller.
So my contribution is I have noticed on the East Bank that you have people blocking the road again.
Where?
You talking about that protest?
The protest yesterday. Okay.
Yeah, it happened recently, and the government has offered to give those people house plots or maybe houses or some kind of thing like that. I object to people blocking road and still making it as it's a profit that you have done wrong. You block road, but you still get in a house plot. So it means that people will continue squatting and blocking.
In this particular case,
No. I think you got
we got to look at the circumstances, and I think a lot of people. So there's a humanitarian side. People need housing, and we got to respect those rights.
I don't agree with you.
No. But you go ahead. You make your point. Go ahead.
Want more land? Where I live, as soon as this government got in power, a whole set of people come to the back and say, "Oh, they're gonna give all these house plots and make house plots," and they squat at the back there. And now government is going to do some development, and they're going to change that area. So I agree that there might be circumstances of people. I don't.
In this particular case, I was advised that somebody guided them to the area there and was organizing them. And in so doing, you can't really blame the people too much because they believe that this thing is going to be regularized in no time. But squatting is illegal on the whole.
Selling a person's land.
You got to jail their ass.
Somebody's land. I am saying that is wrong.
It's wrong. It's illegal. How are you selling somebody else? How you could go sit down for the money? You want somebody come in your backyard and then you're happy? I mean, not you, but anybody that owns land legally or properties. Squatting is illegal.
Okay. The other point I wish to raise, I look at Freddie and his tie, and I thought he looked good. Now I am one of those people. I'm an old timer as well, and I still respect those people who dress properly and carry themselves properly. The old teacher used to always wear the tie, and they always were respected. Nowadays, there's no respect for people, no respect whatsoever. That is what is happening on the road. They show you no regard and no respect.
Okay, sir. Thanks for coming through.
Thank you very much. Freddie, I'd like to tell you, before anybody else called, that when I wear tie, I feel strangled. I used to wear tie for years.
Well,
I respect you.
No, but I still think you feel strangled. And I still think without a tie, you're still strangling yourself, so you don't need a tie to strangle.
Thank you very much, Freddie. Good evening, caller. Good evening, caller. Hello? Hello? I'm sorry. If you call in, just make sure that you're ready to come through 231-2982. You could also call us on 637-1071. WhatsApp call it or whatever, call us there, and let's get those calls. We're talking a number of things tonight. You could talk about squatting. You know, Freddie, we've become so numb as a nation. A lady and her teenage daughter was discovered dead in a house.
Yeah.
It looks like suicide. We haven't heard the official thing yet. But that news was relegated somewhere in the back page because of what's happening. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, sir. Good night to both of you.
Go ahead.
I'm enjoying your program so far, but I have a contribution to make. Hello?
Yeah, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Yes. You know, the problem is what we have in Skelton here. I believe.
Skelton, Borbies, this is quarantine?
Yes.
Go ahead.
That there are a lot of trafficking of drugs.
Trafficking?
Yes. I'm telling you, I did it.
Trafficking of what?
Drugs.
Drugs. Okay.
Rapidly drugs going on in this place. It's terrible, terrible. And I'm going to tell you, there are people who knows about it, who protect people, they're within it.
Well, it has been, I don't know what to say there, Freddie. Any comments?
Because this is something you use them get so wild and weird. This thing's still all about it. It's trying people little kids.
And you're not talking about marijuana here alone. You're talking about cocaine and a whole bunch of other stuff.
And pills and all them things, you see.
Ecstasy and all this thing.
And people doing nothing. And the people who to protect the people in this country, them is the one who within the system.
All right. Have you and the police not
nothing now do, man. Nothing now do. You know, we just try to keep people kids and see what's going on. If you gotta check them schools up here, you will find so much of things in school, that kind of thing.
They raided a number school the other day. Well, at least the police went into a number school. Yeah, if you see the scissors, if you see the joker.
I know.
Freddie Kissoon, scissors. They had about 10, 20 scissors in one school. You used to go to school with the scissors. Chief, you used to go to school with the scissors.
It's bothering me so.
I go to school with the scissors. My mother would, how you say, I introduce a Freddie to another word. No, patke the hell out of me.
But you know,
I don't know.
Suppose the student had the scissors to do the cutting the books or cut out.
The sharpening for cut out, whatever it is. Freddie, wake up, Freddie.
So much that to know these kids, them are straight on life. And people are destroying them, and the people to protect the people don't do nothing.
No, it is indeed true. We got to get very... I think to the heart of what you're saying there is that we go to developed countries, we travel, and we see how at least they give you the impression as if they're trying, even though there's corruption behind and everybody or people taking bribes to cover up or whatever. You give the impression as if they're doing something. But when this thing is being done openly, you want to know where intelligence gathering, what the police is doing, what the other law enforcement... because surely they would know who doing these things.
But you said when they raid the school, they found scissors. But suppose it's your homemaking department class.
I don't want to be
scissors.
a racist or anything. I'm a man straight to people.
Sure.
I love everybody and I respect everybody. So this station, Springlands here, they are one-sided. The people them who without helmet and all this thing are moving certain things, they don't hold them. The ordinary people, the police hold on for them. But wear your helmet, wear your license, wear your this, wear your that. This is what they do. And this is not something that you just see. It's something that you see what these people are doing. And it bothers you so much to know innocent people got to struggle for through the police hand. And the people who are doing the wrong things, they're free.
Got you. Thank you very much for coming through all the way from Skeldon, Quarantine Coast. I want to say good night to the Burmese folks. And let's don't forget our Eskimo Coast people there to be coming through, being with us, the Gildarie Freddie Kissoon show. Thank you very much, sir. Bye-bye.
Yes, y'all doing a wonderful job.
Thank you. We just got a couple minutes. Freddie, I was telling you before that call there, you imagine back in those days, a woman and a child found alone, dead in a house. It would have made the news, and we've become so numb. But we've become so numb as a nation that the news has almost been relegated to the inside pages. It's not a discussion point about the social ills of that. Good evening, caller.
Good evening to both of you.
Sure.
You know, where there is truth, there will be justice. And where there is justice, there will be peace. These 19 children,
20,
girl, and the one boy that gets born up in his dorms at Madia. This whole incident is lack of transparency and accountability, nothing more. If you understand the amount of money, the hundreds of millions of dollars, this PPP city government is spending on this school, the secondary school, the nursery school, the primary school, the dorms. And you're not seeing the money on the building, neither the compound.
Gildarie, let the gentleman have his say. You can't respond to everybody.
Yeah.
So I'll have you say so. The program is open to different viewpoints. Please.
That's the way this program should have been.
Put out your viewpoint.
The faster you run, the weaker you get PPP. Face the truth. You should have already begun to dismiss people on the regional executive casino office.
You
should have already...
You said casino office? What is a casino office?
The regional democratic office here. What's a casino?
What's a casino?
It's a casino. They have their friends issuing contracts. Mainly East Indians, all of them. Where is the work? The dams. You know, you wouldn't put your child there. I am seeing that these children coming from over the mountain from different far-flung areas, as the president said. And this school here, you have an evil spirit traversing from the dams to the school. For years now, they cannot solve that. The priests do not want the Hindu pandit, neither the Muslim imam to look after it. They want to dominate and they can't get it done. They itself have the children them in the day falling down, lost their senses. You know, look.
Okay, so right, thanks. Thanks for coming through.
You see, Freddie, that's the problem. You're not dealing with the issue. You can't. Your politics is not. You know, that's a problem with you.
Okay, you
Not
came.
bringing the truth to the public. They need to know the truth. We need help in this issue.
Right, well, we gave you airtime to air your view.
Help to you.
Okay, we give you airtime to air your view. And you said what you believe in, and thousands of people are listening to you. Thanks for coming through, man. Thanks for coming through.
There's a problem in the country. You're cutting short.
Hold on, Freddie. All right. You're saying that there's some spirits on the dam that's leading to the dorm, and the government did not look into it. Did I hear you correctly?
Nobody now look after it, Mr.
So you want the government to look after the spirits that's leading from the dam?
Yeah, the government, you know, Jim Jones, Kid Jones song story, 914 people there. You know who you call from Bornham, PNC.
You understand that it's only about 5 or 6 years now, and there are many dorms that's across this country. 5 or 6 years now that we have discovered oil, and it's about 3 or 4 years now that we've started drawing down on oil money, right? Before that, we were barely struggling, busting our ass to pay our debts and whatever. Where do you put the money in? Where do you put the money?
We in a terrible situation. We struggling more bad now.
But that's why I'm saying make sure that the people that you are put in the regions at the local government side, make sure that you are choose the right people, because these are the people that got to carry out the local government. They're the ones.
You know what you're telling me. But you're running. You're not taking the truth from me.
What is the truth, sir?
The truth is that you ain't getting transparency and accountability from the government.
All right, Saul. Saul,
the man said a bunch of Indians. Hold on. Let me take him one. You said a bunch of Indians getting contracts in region 8. Are you saying that the contract, that the procurement system is flawed? Is that what you're saying? Or is it that you're saying that you have a problem with Indians? No. Are you saying that the procurement system is flawed, or are you saying that Indians should not get contracts?
They are trade robbers exploiting the government.
I'm asking you a question. It's very simple. It's a very simple question, sir. Is it that the procurement system in Region 8, let's look at that issue, in Region 8 is flawed, or is it that you have an issue with Indians having contract?
I am having both problems.
You have an issue with Indians having contracts?
Both sides. You can't bring share Indian people and give them contract in there.
No. Well, it's two things that you can. If it is that the procurement system is open and it's fair, and they want the contract, how could you have a problem with that?
So how long is this going to continue?
Contract, you're not seeing the money, you're not seeing the work.
Well, that was another issue. That is another issue. Don't mix it up.
Who you going to blame for them things? Not the engineer.
Man, you're going all over the place. We come in at two things of the thing. You talk about the dam and the spirit. You're talking about the contract. You have an issue with the Indian.
And he has made his contribution. We got to move on.
All right. I hear what you're saying, and I hear the pain in your voice. I agree with you. But let me take it one at a time. I thank you very much for coming through for that.
All right, Gildarie. You take care.
Good. Thank you, brother. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of frustration out there, Freddie, and we can't get away from that. But let me make sure that we understand what the complexity.
There's a lot of unfounded allegations.
Yeah, but we got to be very careful. There's a lot of rumors going out there. Yeah. You got to separate the rumors from what the fact is.
One of the things about a calling program is that you give people the right to think on it.
Of course.
But you're going to get the lunatic fringe, you're going to get propagandists, and you have to know how to treat it.
But we got to be right. You got to correct it.
People going to come up and say that, look, I know this minister, and he says what he thinks the minister is doing. He gives his view, and so we go on.
Yes, Gildarie, Freddie.
Y'all go right ahead.
I think the guy have a point. But
of course he has a point.
Explain himself. Right, here what happened. The procurement system has a leak in it. Let me tell you what goes on. You go in, you have a friend as an engineer there. He said, okay, I got a contract for you. You come in, you collect a bill of quantity. One is what is the engineer one, 2 blanks or 3 blanks. You fill it up, you go to 3-4 different contractors. Where's your friend? They stamp and sign it, you carry it back.
You're talking about quotes? You're talking about 3 different quotes?
I'm telling you about contracts. No. Telling you about contracts. The bill of quantity. Right? That's how it goes. You have a friend as an engineer at the RDC. You go in, he give you the engineer one, and about two or three black one. Pull that up, you take it in, and it seems like when people tend to the job, but it's not like that. That's how it goes. That's how they give out the friends and family the contracts, and nobody can doubt me about this because I have full evidence about it.
You have full evidence? Could you present it to us, please?
I can present it to you. I sent you pictures before already about the flood, and you never.
You don't know what I did with it. You can't say that I didn't do anything with it, sir.
Okay, well, I can produce you because I have a few of it.
Because we can't be making these accusations if we have evidence and we do nothing about it.
You have my number there. You have my number there.
Call me tomorrow.
I can get with you. Good.
Well, could you take my email address and send me what? Hello?
I have your number, Freddie. I have your number, Freddie.
But take my email address and just send me what you have. Fred Kissoon, quite simple. Fred Kissoon, one word, at yahoo.com. Fred, Fred, Kissoon.
If I miss the information, I'll call you back tomorrow for it.
Okay.
Thank you very much for coming through that for us. Bye-bye. Good evening, caller. Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, you go right there, sir. You're coming through a little broken. Could you speak a little closer to the phone, or?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go right ahead.
All right, this is my contribution pertaining to the murder of Smalley. That the police.
The killing, or the killing.
I'm saying this is my contribution, right? And
Oh, go ahead.
The police force. First of all, because India owes them before he was found dead. Because Smalley, okay, was very ill. He was very ill, okay? He was very much ill when he got away, when he was an escape, when he escaped from the prison.
Oh, he was ill.
Okay? While on the run, he had nothing to eat. Immune system dropped down, okay?
Oh.
Now, when the police force made it public on social media that they had, that intercepted one of an individual who was shot. Indeed, his accomplice was shot, not Smalley. What happened is, okay, Smalley sent him, his accomplice, to get medication or see if he can get someone close by, see if he can get someone close by to help out. Smalley was very ill. He was lying down. So when his accomplice returned to the place to where he was already dead. Natural.
And you notice how?
Ailment. All right, that's my.
You know that he's not finishing.
His accomplice realized that Smalley is dead. Made a call to the police and said Smalley is at this location. Police, in return, responded, "Wait on us at this location." Instead of arresting the man, they shot him, knowing where Smalley was. When they arrived on the scene, he was already dead. Because Smalley, well-known criminal, would not go down without firing a shot. The ammunition that was discovered, okay, were 2 full mags of 7.6 caliber. That's for the AK-47. Okay, that's the caliber the AK is used. Now, how can a man, okay, give up a fight or they intercepted Smalley and his accomplice? How can they intercept them without having shootout? Obviously, Smalley would have gone down with a fight.
I saw those same stories, and may I ask, you know all of these details, how?
Now, the thing is, right, the police, upon seeing that...
I'm asking you how you know all these details?
No, this is very, very important, all right?
Could you answer Gildarie's question, sir? He asked you twice, how do you know these...
So Smalley was in the bush, running, escaping, hiding.
No.
The people who are behind him is a joint services, and I'm asking you how you knew all these details.
Obviously, from what the police were providing with information.
The police force, I'm also part of the police group.
Okay.
And I've seen And I've heard that the man was dead. He died from malaria. He died from a whole...
Either malaria, typhoid, dengue.
We heard all of that too, but the police put out a statement there. I'm not sure. At the end of the day, nobody wants to see extrajudicial killing. But we got to look at the context of the case. But it is, we have seen and heard, at least I've seen and heard of that, what you were talking about.
Correct, because, come on, right?
But they're rumors until proven. We don't know what it is, right?
But will show us, right?
All right, but thank you for coming through there, caller. We've been advised that the time is up, and thank you for your input. Thank you. Freddie, I don't know, over to you.
Well, there are two things to note, as I said before, about an open mic. That it's a free for all. Within the free for all, you're going to have people with rational, intellectual advancement. They're going to say things that you learn from, that you inquire about. There are people just going to come up and say, "Oh God, I know the man, he killed 6 people." And so you listen to them and you go. My concluding remarks is that I would like to see, after this program, I would like to see this society react to a decision by a judge in which a violent murderer killed 2 of his victims and he got 3 years, a few months. I would like this, some learned legal mind to show me within the framework of sentencing, that sentence is possible. It could be justified. My contention, it cannot be. My contention is that that sentence cannot hold and should not hold. But is there an explanation? I would like to see that explanation. That's all I want to say.
Thank you very much, dear Freddie. I think it was one of the ministry or one of the agencies of the government that has as a catchphrase, see something, do something. I can't remember if it's the police. Whatever it is, what is very clear tonight, Freddie, is that people are very passionate. They're very angry. They want answers. They want to see a better Guyana. That's my feeling of it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, let's don't be citizens who are just walking through this life that is of Guyana, that we say nothing, we do nothing, because it's somebody else's business. You're playing a role, you live in here, at least let your voices be heard. You only walk through this life. I think it was a wise man that once said that you walk through this life but once. Do not, when you die tomorrow morning, that people forget you, that you have not played a role, that you have not done something to further or to better mankind and better this world. As Freddie and I would say, he would say a lot of things. Sayonara, goodbye, wherever you are. I hope that you're staying safe. The weekend seems to be is going to be wet. I want you to be safe on the roadways. We love you too much, and we want you to be with us a little longer. We want you to take care on the roadway. We want you to show courtesy on the roadway. And overseas, wherever you are joining us from, we want to say thank you for joining us. We're going to be back with you on Monday night. As usual, same place, same time. On behalf of myself and co-host Freddie Kissoon, this is the Gildarie Freddie Kissoon Show. Goodbye. Have a good weekend.